Hey, what's up, friends? Ray with Talking Timberworks. How y'all doing? I just finished up this beautiful cherry bowl, right? Beautiful, semi-green, turned once, and finished with Acks abrasive paste products and the polish. So if you want to see how I did this cherry bowl, maybe the last of the year, it's, what is it? It's Sunday. So 2 more days till New Year's Eve. The last bowl of 2024 for Talking Timberworks. So stick around, friends, and check it out and see what kind of fun we get up to. This is a badly cut cherry blank from I don't know how long ago. It's been sitting here for about a year probably. It's got a really big flat spot on it. So it's kind of making it hard to judge where center actually is. Just in and out. Oh man, I'm excited to get back to turning. It has been far too long. Turn it all the way down. I always make it a habit to get this out of the way because this could be a line of fire issue. And then I just let it grab it, and then that's it. I don't fight it. I don't wrestle it. You can't hear it there. See it here, but this needs to be tightened up another quarter inch or so. There we go. Yeah, that's a rough piece. That's vintage Talking Timberworks right there. It's been a minute. All right, face shield on. Face shield is fogging up already though. Good times. I don't like to engage my tailstock until the piece is moving. That's tightened up, all that noise is gone. All right, for how rough it is, it's gonna let me start out at 700. There's the bark. That was that big flat spot out there. All right, friends, this video is a little bit long-winded, so we're going to have to speed it up in some spots. This is just roughing the outside of the bowl. All right, these are just mostly pull cuts to bulk material removal. Okay, now this tailstock isn't doing nothing. I don't know if you guys can see this, but that bark is like... Okay, so for your tailstock support to actually work and do something, you have to have good solid wood for it to be supporting. So as you saw right there, that was just a little bit of bark, and it was barely held into place. And it was, my tailstock support was doing nothing until I got rid of it and cleaned up that surface. Okay, it'll let us get up to speed now. This tool rest's probably a little too small for this, but... And again, these are just pull cuts for bulk removal of the material and to get a shape and get the blank trued up. They're going to leave a lot of tear out, and you know, we're just using the wing, the long wing, and we're just hogging material, getting rid of it as fast as we can. I like to true up the top a little bit. This nut is from here into here. That's going to cause problems. I think we're better off taking this down. Oh, it flew out. Y'all see that, friends? I knew I didn't want that thing. Yeah, I think it's better to just shorten the bowl.
Okay, and so that's sometimes just the on-the-fly design changes and decisions that you have to make. If I would have went through the side of the bowl to try and remove that knot, I would have lost probably 2 inches or more diameter versus 1 inch of depth or height from coming down off the top. Okay, and overall, it was, in my opinion, the correct decision because the bowl just has good flow to it. You know, it was a deep blank, and so it, you know, deep bowls or tall bowls are cool looking, but this one's kind of more in proportionate of what it should be for a standard, you know, utility serving bowl. And then that bowl gouge I was using has a 60-degree nose angle on it, and kind of my wings aren't very flat. They're kind of have a convex curve to them, so a lot of times it's easier for me to just use a spindle gouge to get in there and form the tenon. And then for me, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but once I have my tenon formed, then I can really see what kind of curve I want to the bowl and kind of refine that curve. And, you know, the bottom was kind of flat. So I'm taking out that kind of corner right there at the bottom and blending everything in a little bit better. And sometimes I don't fully see it until I get that tenon in place and know exactly what I'm going to have as like the bottom of the bowl. And now these aren't shear scrapes. These are kind of, I don't know what you would maybe call them, finishing scrapes. But my flute is kind of open at more of a maybe 10-30. Not a full 9 for hogging, but not almost closed over for a shear scrape. It's more of a refining scrape that gets rid of a lot of tear out and gives you a good close to finish cut. Not quite there though.
Well, those weren't really shear scrapes. That's kind of just a material removing scrape to blend in the curve, kind of get rid of some of them tool marks.
Now when you close your flute up, you can really see a difference in the shape and the thickness of the shavings, and you can see that it's more of a finishing cut with your shear scrape versus kind of a material removing scrape. So with your pull cuts, you can basically have, you know, like a hogging cut where your flute is pretty much open at that kind of 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you're just digging in and gouging in. That's your pull cut, your removal cut. And then you close it up a little bit, you know, kind of in there, maybe 10:30, 11, somewhere in there, and you get a refining cut, but it's not a shear scrape. And then when you close it over and the top wing is almost touching the wood, it's barely open, then you get those nice fine ribbons for your shear scrape and your refining cuts. Okay, so what I'm talking about was I didn't move the tool rest,
Right there, I wasn't
and I
supported. I dug in a
extended my
little bit.
gouge further than I like, and I got a little bit of vibration in there, and I could feel it, and I could hear it. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't turn with music or headphones on, because I need to hear, or I want to hear, the feedback from the machine, the wood, and the tool.
That's a good surface. Okay, this thing's fighting me, man.
All right, so in the beginning of the
Let's see.
video, you saw me really kind of crank this thing down, and that's kind of what happens when you crank it down. It's difficult to remove it from the screw chuck sometimes. And what I've got in there is a strap wrench, and I'm kind of using my belly to hold it in place. And or you can jam it on your bedways, or on my old lathe, I used to kind of use the
So
motor
that is a
shroud
really good tight
as
fit.
in the oil fields. We always called it backup, when we used something to back up the threads and keep them from moving, like when you use 2 wrenches to stop a nut from turning in the bolt.
See how much material I had to take off? Kind of a bummer, but oh well. Okay, always have a strap wrench at your lathe or in your workshop or something. All right, it wouldn't be me.
And I'm talking
Or
about my
wouldn't be
screw
a
chuck. I've never used that screw chuck
demo
before. I
if we didn't
use
have a little bit of
woodworm
hiccups.
screws all the time, but this was the first time using my
First time we use a
screw
product,
chuck that I
right?
bought from Craft Supplies.
Reversing the ball. I do like to get the tailstock support up there and kind of smush it in there pretty good.
And what that's doing is really helping to make
smushed in
sure
pretty
that
good, and then
the
we'll close
shoulder
the
of the
jaws
bowl is
down.
bottoming out against the face of the jaws, and that everything's in there good and tight, and that you don't have it kind of cocked off to one side or the other.
All right, let's get back to work. I will take the tailstock or the live center out because that Ellsworth gouge has a long handle on it. And finding it with your elbow is no fun. First deal of the day is to remove most of that crap there. I'm cool with 1,000.
Okay, so I'm using peeling cuts to get rid
And then
of this
just peeling
material.
cuts.
If I was to kind of just take the gouge and kind of slide across the top of the rim with like a push cut, going from the rim to the center, then I would be going into face or end grain almost like 70% of the time. And end grain really dulls your tool up and is hard on the tool. So any time you can, you want to go into the side grain, and those peeling cuts let you cut through the side grain. Otherwise, you would be pushing your nose through just a wall of end grain.
So that's the little safety cut right there. A little chamfer so you don't get cut open. It's just as bad as a paper cut. That little divot
Like
of that
this cut here,
remaining
this is
knot
what I was
gone.
talking about. This cut here is into end grain the whole way across. Well, 70% of the time. There's a small portion where when it's rotating, it's side grain. And unfortunately here, my lighting is really bad, and it just looks really, it's not good lighting. So I just kind of speed this process up. I'm just kind of scooping out the bowl. I work from the center towards the rim, and you know, I take a level down, and then I'll go back to the center again and work it out a couple of times over. I bounce back and forth trying to find the wall thickness I want. I don't use calipers a lot. I don't use measurements a lot. I kind of just eyeball and feel what looks good or what feels good on the bowl. Unfortunately for me, this was the first time I had turned a bowl in maybe 2 months. Like I said, I felt kind of in a slump and hadn't been turning. So they say it's like riding a bicycle, you know, you never really forget. But I'll tell you what, the first few pedals, you know, the first 100 yards or so is pretty wobbly and rough. So what I ended up doing was putting quite a bit of tool marks into the interior of this bowl. Just not very even flowing cuts. And it takes a lot of cleanup. Like I said, it's kind of weird how fast you can fall out of your groove if you step away from turning for a while. You can find your way right back into it, but yeah, this bowl was kind of rough for me. So, like, not necessarily the bowl, but the hollowing of this and getting good, clean cuts on the inside. There wasn't tear out, but there was a lot of, I call it a gouge. There's like a ridge, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches down from the rim, and it just bugged me, and I have to work at it. And it was at the thickness that I wanted, so I did not want to take another, say, another cut and take another 1/16 of an inch off, or possibly 1/8 of an inch, and then get whittled down to nothing. So I brought in this negative rake scraper that I made. It's homemade. It's out of Amazon steel. The profile isn't the best yet. I'm still playing with it. What I probably need to do is buy an actual negative rake and get a feel for what the tool should be, because I've never bought one or used one except for this one that I made myself. It kind of does the job. You can see the fine ribbons coming out, and I was able to get that gouge out, or that groove out that I was talking about. And so now the bowl's already pretty thin, and the bulk of the material's gone, so I'm getting a lot of chatter, even with this tool. So it makes me think that it's not profiled right or sharpened right or something, because I get a little bit of chatter, even though I'm kind of, you know, holding the outside of the rim, and I'm not pushing too aggressively in there, that I don't think.
Don't feel good
Maybe
at
I
all,
am,
man.
because I want to get that groove out. But yeah, this cleaning it up right here took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But you know, it's all a learning process, and refining your different techniques and finding what works for you and what doesn't. And like I said, you know, I wanted to save some money and try negative rake scraping, so I used a $15 piece of Amazon steel, you know, to try it out, instead of, you know, going off and buying a
Finish isn't bad.
$150, $200
That gouge
scraper
in
from
there
one
is
of the big
horrible.
name guys.
All right, friends, a lot of times I'll start off wet sanding. All right, and I just take walnut oil, and sometimes it takes a minute to get it saturated and going, but once it does, It usually sands pretty quick and even. Now, I've been out of practice, and so this is a little bit rough, so I'm having to go over it more than I normally would. As you can see, there's a dry groove right here, so that's something ain't right there. I mean, yeah, it gets a little bit messy. Stuff flies everywhere. But at the end of the day, you get some walnut oil burnished in to already start the curing process, with polymerization, whatever you want to call it. I'm just kind of getting the slurry off before we move to the next grit. See what it looks like. If it looks like I'm sanding fast, I'm sanding about 630. But because of the oil on there, you know, it's a lubricant. It dissipates heat. Piece isn't hot. My sandpaper isn't hot. That's one of the benefits of wet sanding. You can hot sand at higher RPMs with it, no effect, no ill effect. I mean, I don't know. There's some that argue that, whoops. There's some that argue that if you sand slower, that the paper has more of a time to cut and abrade better. Like that's 330. It's about as slow as the lathe goes, is right at 300. So I don't know, I'm kind of torn on it. One of these days I might have to do an experiment and see how the two differ. It sounds more aggressive, but then again, I put new paper on, so I don't have very good control. And I mean, it might seem like it's kind of overboard or expensive, you know, but, you know, using the wet sanding. But like I said, my dust collection isn't up. I hate wearing a dust mask. As you can see, there's no dust flying around whatsoever. It's all over my lathe, it's all over my hands and stuff, but there's no airborne stuff floating around clogging up my lungs. Oh, she's a beaut. I'm wondering if I can see where that little knot was. No, not especially. And we'll go one sheet of 320. I know Tom says that he normally just stops at 240, but it's a habit of mine to go 320. I'm still kind of paranoid about tear out and tool marks and all that stuff, but I guess at that same time, once you're up this high in the grits to 320, you're not doing anything but removing the scratch marks from the previous grits, right? We're way past shaping. Shaping is done under 120, right? If you want to shape your wood with sanding and abrading, you use 80 and lower. 120, 220, or 240, whatever you have. I usually go 120, 240, 320. Those are finishing grits. They're not for removing tear out. They're not for removing tool marks. Especially, they'll take out small bits of tool marks and small, tiny bits of tear out. The 120 will. 240, nah. You better have good tool cuts if you start with 240. Oh, I forgot 180 in there. I go 120, 180, 240, and 320. Sometimes you get some weird packs of sandpaper with 150 and 220 or versus 240, but they're all basically, as long as you're not doing a jump of like 100 on your grit, you know, try to keep it in there about 80, and you should just walk along and remove the previous scratches. All right, Acks Abrasive Paste. This is the channel sponsor. This is our only sponsor. This is some of the best wood turning finish you can get. This is abrasive paste. It usually comes in a premium set of 3. The first step is a vessel for applying tung oil. I applied walnut oil. So we are now moving to the abrasive paste, which is a frangible, a food safe frangible abrasive powder. It could be Tripoli, it could be diatomaceous earth, it could be various other things. It's wax, it's oil. He likes to use tung oil instead of mineral oil. It's more expensive, but it's natural. And mineral oil is kind of, I don't like it. It's a petroleum product. I know all about it. It's a horse laxative. I don't need all that stuff in my bowls. I'd much rather use walnut, tung, and linseed oil. Not boiled linseed oil. That's full of all kinds of nasty stuff too. That's for art pieces as far as I'm concerned. It's for flat work. There's the argument that after 30 days everything goes inert. That's fine. There are guys out there that use their own wood turning products, or so they say, and they use that stuff. More power to them. I like to say that all my stuff is food safe on something that might be used for a food turning or a food purpose. So you can hear it. The frangible powder in there is breaking down. And what this does, abrasive paste, if you guys aren't familiar with it, friends, is it simulates sanding and polishing upwards over 1,000 grit. So it's instead of just continuing with that boring and time-consuming sanding process, we're putting oil, we're putting wax, and then we're removing sanding marks with this abrasive paste. And so that's basically what it is. And then, like I said, it comes with a 3-part set. Acks Woodpaste does. It comes with the first step, which was the vessel for tung oil. It's tung oil and beeswax. But as I said, I put walnut in this. So, you know, they're interchangeable. If you just want to use one of the 3 Acks products, you can. It also comes with a double carnauba wax now. More carnauba wax than the prior iterations. And I talked to Tom. He said he uses it as a paste wax, puts it on his bedways and all that stuff. And that's, again, like, you know, the oil, that's the vessel that holds the carnauba. And you could tell it's a different product. This has the frangible paste and it's kind of orange. The first step is really thin. It's, like I said, it's more of an emulsion. Think about the thickness of Anchor Seal. And it's not meant to stay. It's meant to put the oil in, let it sit for a half hour, overnight, whatever, floats your boat, and then buff it off. Get into the abrasive paste. The abrasive paste simulates sanding up to the high grits. And then the final step is the polish, and that's carnauba wax. And that puts a nice protective sheen. Carnauba wax is the hardest of the man-made waxes. Or not man-made, sorry friends. That's microcrystalline and all that stuff of the natural waxes. So of like your beeswax and stuff like that. I'm not sure. Woodworking, beeswax, and carnauba are predominant for the natural waxes. Shellac is another natural wax type substance. So we were there at 560. We got most of it in. We're going to kick it up and really kind of burnish it in, break it down. We're just shy of 1,000 now. And you know, what happens is you want to make sure your paper towel, you've seen me folding it over and finding clean spots and folding it over. If it takes 2 paper towels, 3 paper towels, whatever, keep doing it, because you want to make sure that all of that abrasive paste, all the abrasive powder in there is gone before you move on to the next step of the polishing, because you don't want anything left behind to scratch your polish. So if it takes 4 paper towels, do it. You know, a little bit of this paste goes on a long way. I usually put too much on. You know, as you can see, that paper towel ain't nowhere clean yet. So you just keep working it in. Look, it takes a little bit of time, but it ain't nowhere near as tedious as sanding. I hate sanding. This I don't mind. This is kind of therapeutic, man. You're just grooving, kind of working the wood, feeling it, you know, buffing it, polishing it. This is cool. I'm cool with it. We're starting to make progress. You know, I'm not sure. Temperature usually does play a variable in finishes and waxes and stuff like that. It's wintertime, man. It's almost the end of 2024. Can you believe that, friends? We made it. 2025 promises to be real interesting. So instead of messing with that stuff, it's so impregnated in there that I just get a new fresh paper towel. And the reason why we use paper towels for stuff like this is if it catches, it rips and tears. A rag will drag you in. So my paper towel's clean, and look at that finish, friends. That's beautiful, man. It doesn't need any more. It really doesn't. It's beautiful. But what's a demonstration without being a complete demonstration? Now I saw the wax up here. Yep. Okay. Polishing and restoring wax. All right, let's go. See, so this stuff is hard. You can tell that this is a wax product and not a bunch of oil. Now see, this is great stuff because carnauba usually comes in those rock hard bricks. And if you drop them, they shatter and go all over the place. And you really have to turn them hot to get them to melt and apply to your project. So with it being in this paste form, it's a little bit tough. I mean, you gotta dig in and use some pressure, but it's on there and it gets worked in good. And you know, if you guys don't know, if you do, the third finishing abrasive or powder or wax or whatever you want to call it in the Beal buffing system is carnauba wax. So this is completely compatible with that. So I mean, you could probably rub that stuff on your Beal buffing wheel if you wanted to. The final step, the third step of your buffing system. But yeah, you know when you get it is you can smell the wax start to melt. And then I watch the line and the sheen, the reflection and everything. It's kind of a fun process watching, you know, your reflection gets tighter and smaller and tighter and smaller as you go, you know, from your lights and stuff up here. If you pay attention to that stuff, it's kind of cool to watch. The more of a smooth and polished surface you get on your products, you know, the tighter and more crisp these reflections get. We'll crank it up a little bit more. I'm looking for about 1200. There we go. Really burnish that wax in. Turn it down, and then kill it. There it is, friends. Not the fanciest cherry. That's definitely me, off-centered and kind of wild. But you know, I like it. I love cherry, man. I love classic clean cherry bowls, man. They are just beautiful to me. Yep. That's nice. I like it. Like I said, this is a cereal bowl, man. This is that's cereal, that's soup. This one might not be going anywhere except for in the cupboard. All right, so we will take this guy off. I still haven't worked out my vacuum chuck problem. I've been in a slump, friends. Hopefully this turning right here gets me out of it, because I'm already in a better mood. Turning truly is therapeutic. It really helps me out, man. It helps with all the stress and the compounds of day-to-day life and problems and work and all that stuff, man. Turning is my getaway, and I haven't been getting away. I can't tell you how good it feels to get back to it. I've been chainsawing. Chainsawing does the same thing for me. I love my chainsaws. But sometimes you just need to create something. Chainsaw's kind of on the destructive side. Let's see, I don't think we're going to get it. We might be able to. Nope, she opened up all the way. I still need room for a paper towel. We'll probably back her out 2 nuts. 2 bolts. A little bit of paper towel. Man, I think I may have went too far. Let's see. Maybe it was just 1. It's going to be close. See, I leave these kind of open a little bit so I can wiggle them around if need be, and then tighten them down. Bam! I don't know if I want that foot on there or not. I'll probably just take it off. We'll take that tenon off, see what kind of material we're working with. And, you know, just like anything else, man, keep that tailstock support while you can, because these things will launch up out at you. Check out my one of the first videos on this channel and one of the later videos on my older channel, man. I had a good sized hard maple bowl come up out of my cold jaws and hit me in the face. Very shortly after that, I started wearing my face shield like a good boy. Okay, speed is down. We want speed down. We will see what this thing gives us. Okay, look. I don't know if you guys are new turners or not. Oh, come on. Nope. Okay. So on every single one of these jaws, oh wait, even here on the backside probably. Nope. They're on the front side where you're supposed to read them. So it tells you, do not exceed 600 RPM. It was kind of an interesting situation when the bowl hit me in the face, because I was turning at 600 RPMs. But what happened was it came out, hit the tool rest, and then that was able to pop it up and out. Because normally at those speeds, it would just drop. But I watched, when I edited the video, I watched the footage over and over again, and it come out, hit the tool rest, and then bam, come up, hit me in the face. Didn't hurt, nothing but my pride, but sometimes in life we get lucky, and the wake-up call that we get and that we needed was more of a slap on the wrist than a life sentence. That's still solid. Now this is where it's critical, where you take small bites towards the headstock. You don't want to be pulling this way, you don't want to be pushing this way. You want your direction of cut, if at all possible, to be into the headstock, especially for removing material, and especially, okay, we're already turning slow at 600 RPMs. All right, the center moves exceptionally slow. Take your time. We're taking nibbles, we're not taking bites. Okay, this is green. It could possibly warp a decent amount. So, rinse and repeat to the bottom. 120. We'll blend that in just a little bit. Kind of blending everything in from before. Okay. I mean, you can't skimp on the bottom, man, because the first thing anybody does when they look at a bowl is they pick it up and then they instantly flip the bottom over. For whatever reason, it's just what they do. Yeah, I'm hoping I didn't screw up the wax finish. I guess it is what it is. We're kind of going to go over this with abrasive paste anyways, but I can't get back out to the rim. Here we go with the abrasive paste, Acks abrasive paste. Oh, that's a little bit much. And we're just going to, like I said, on the other stuff, we're just going to go over it again and kind of blend everything in. And hopefully we get a smooth transition. I'm going to just see how this stuff goes on while it's moving. Perfect. That kind of works better. Well, maybe. And we cannot kick up the speed on this. We are holding on by a hair. These cold jaws do not want to go any faster, and I'm not going to press my luck. It just is what it is. So, plus, I'm pretty sure I got a text message from my wife saying she's awake, so I did not want to keep her waiting. There it is, friends. Oh yeah, and I forgot to even mention this. The reason why I use this paper towel here is it protects the rim from this hard aluminum. See, that walnut slurry kind of slid up the top. Which it just means it'll need a touch up on the Beal buffing machine or something. Looking at, but right here. All right, so there it is. Once turned, semi-green, cherry. I don't know what that thickness is. That's about the thickness I like. That's what I know. This thing's rating at just over a quarter. Not quite 3/8. So, but this is about the thickness I like. This to me is like the perfect combination of thinness and then it looks sturdy. Okay, it doesn't look weak and flimsy, and it has a little bit of heft to it. The paper thin bowls are fun and challenging, but when it's all said and done, this thickness here is probably my #1 compliments and selling points. So as you can see, it's plain bottom, but it does have that divot there. All right, and this is what I was getting at when I was talking and showing you. So if I'm probably in the light and all that other stuff, but that's so in case there's warping and stuff that it'll be on 3 points. But it's got a couple of the cool little pitch pockets in it that we like with cherry, or I like, because it makes it a little bit more interesting. One on each side. Just kind of a classic. The rim slightly undercut. It's got a good thumb feel right here. Man, I might keep it. I'm probably going to keep it because it feels good. So, thanks, friends. Thanks for checking it out. I'm glad that you spent some time with me. Do the social media things for me. You know, the likes, the comments, the subscribes. That really helps get it really helps get the content out to those who want to see it. You know, when you guys hit the like button, when you leave a comment, YouTube's algorithm's like, hey man, this stuff's worthy, they like it, let's push it out to more and more people. So it gets to the people that wants to see it. You know, and we're trying to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. That would be way cool. You know, I didn't plan on being a YouTuber. It just happened that way. So we might as well, you know, keep rolling with it and get you guys quality content and get rolling, man. I like this bowl. All right. Thanks, friends. Y'all have a good one.